Idiots. It's for you.
Clint Eastwood is an American actor, filmmaker, musician, and politician. He rose to international fame with his role as the man with no name in Italian filmmaker Sergio Leone's Dollars trilogy of spaghetti westerns during the 1960s, and as anti-hero cop Harry Callahan in the 5 Dirty Harry films throughout the 1970s and 1980s, after first achieving success in the Western TV series Rawhide. These roles made Eastwood an enduring cultural icon of masculinity. In addition to directing many of his own star vehicles, Eastwood has also directed films in which he did not appear.
Well, you're gonna pull those pistols or whistle Dixie.
When you hang a man, you better look at him.
Eastwood's California real estate portfolio includes a 15,000 square foot compound in Carmel by the Sea, a 6,136 square foot house in Bel Air, the 1,067.5 acre Rising River Ranch in Bernie, an apartment in Burbank, as well as a large but understated house located next door to his longtime primary Bel Air residence. Eastwood also owns a 5,700 square foot house in Sun Valley, Idaho, and a 1.5 acre oceanfront property in Maui, Hawaii. He previously occupied homes in Studio City, Sherman Oaks, Tiburon, and Pebble Beach. He also owns the Tahama Golf Club outside of Carmel, California. Eastwood is an American legend who has owned classic cars like an Austin Healey, a Ferrari 365, a Mustang Shelby, and a Dodge Viper. One of Eastwood's favorite cars is his 1992 GMC Typhoon, which he reportedly still owns. For his daily drive, Clint Eastwood drives an all-electric Fiat 500e.
ACH2! Hurrah!
God's not on our side because he hates idiots also.
For Francis in the Navy in 1955, he was paid $300. For Star in the Dust in 1956, he was paid $75. For the first traveling sales lady in 1956, he was paid $750. For Ambush at Cimarron Pass in 1958, he was paid $750. For Rawhide in 1959, he was paid $700 per episode. For Hang 'em High in 1968, he was paid $400,000 plus 25% of the gross. For Coogan's Bluff in 1968, he was paid $1 million. For Where Eagles Dare in 1968, he was paid $850,000. For Paint Your Wagon in 1969, he was paid $600,000. For Two Mules for Sister Sarah in 1970, he was paid $750,000. For Kelly's Heroes in 1970, he was paid $1 million. For Every Which Way But Loose in 1978, he made $16 million after taking 15% of the gross. For Firefox in 1982, he was paid $300 million, plus 10% of the gross. For Sudden Impact in 1983, he made $30 million after salary and 60% of the profits. For Tightrope in 1984, he was paid $5.5 million. For City Heat in 1984, he was paid $5 million. For Pale Rider in 1985, he was paid $6 million. For Heartbreak Ridge in 1986, he was paid $10 million. For In the Line of Fire in 1993, he was paid $7 million. For Mystic River in 2003, he waived his salary. For Invictus in 2009, he was paid $6 million. For Hereafter in 2010, he was paid $6 million. Clint Eastwood's net worth is $375 million.
Yeah, he's got to do something for a living these days.
Diane ain't much of a living, boy.
Eastwood has had numerous casual and serious relationships of varying length and intensity over his life, many of which overlapped. Shortly after he met his future wife Maggie Johnson on a blind date in spring of 1953, Eastwood had a relationship that resulted in a daughter, Lori, born 1954, who was adopted by Clyde and Helen Warren of Seattle. Although the identity of Lori's biological mother is not publicly known, biographer Patrick McGillen said she belonged to a Seattle theater group Eastwood participated in. Eastwood continued having affairs while married to Johnson, including a 1959 to 1973 liaison with stuntwoman Roxanne Tunis that produced a daughter, Kimber, in 1964. Johnson apparently tolerated the open marriage with Eastwood, and eventually they had 2 children, Kyle, born in 1968, and Allison, born in 1972. In 1975, married actress Sandra Locke began living with Eastwood. She claimed that Eastwood confided he'd never been in love before and wrote her a poem called She Made Me Monogamous. 9 years into their cohabitation, Eastwood officially divorced Maggie Johnson, but Locke remained married to husband Gordon Anderson for the rest of her life. In an unpublicized affair, Eastwood sired 2 legally fatherless children, Scott, born 1986, and Catherine, born 1988, with Jacelyn Reeves, a flight attendant. When Locke and Eastwood separated in 1989, Locke filed a palimony lawsuit. In the 1990s, Eastwood had a relationship with actress Frances Fisher that produced a daughter, Francesca, born in 1993. Eastwood was married for the second time to news anchor Diana Ruiz in 1996, who gave birth to their daughter Morgan that same year. Ruiz and Eastwood's marriage lasted until 2013, and he has been seen with other women since then. Other than acting and producing, Eastwood enjoys playing golf, hunting, fishing, and surfing. Surfing is a hobby perfected in Hawaii and Southern California while growing up. Eastwood has held a lifelong distaste for tobacco and tobacco companies, and only smokes when required to do so by a film role. He has also been conscious of his health and fitness since he was a teenager and practices healthy eating and daily transcendental meditation. Eastwood is an FAA-licensed fixed-wing and rotary craft private pilot and often flies his helicopter to the studios to avoid traffic. Clint Eastwood was born on May 31, 1930 at St. Francis Memorial Hospital in San Francisco, California, to Ruth and Clinton Eastwood. During her son's fame, Ruth was known by the surname of her second husband, John Belden Wood, whom she married after the death of Clinton Sr. Eastwood was nicknamed Samson by the hospital nurses because he weighed 11 pounds 6 ounces, 5.2 kilograms at birth. He has a younger sister, Jean Bernhardt. He is of English, Irish, Scottish, and Dutch ancestry. His family relocated 3 times during the 1930s as his father changed occupations, residing in Sacramento in 1935, according to census records. Contrary to what Eastwood has indicated in media interviews, they did not move between 1940 and 1949. Settling in Piedmont, California, the Eastwoods lived in an affluent area of the town, had a swimming pool, belonged to a country club, and each parent drove their own car. Eastwood's father was a manufacturing executive at Georgia Pacific for most of his working life. As Clint and Jean grew older, Ruth took a clerical job at IBM. Eastwood attended Piedmont Middle School, where he was held back due to poor academic scores, and records indicated he also had to attend summer school. From January 1945 until at least January 1946, he attended Piedmont High School, but was asked to leave for writing an obscene suggestion to a school official on an athletic field scoreboard and for burning an effigy on the school lawn, on top of other school infractions. He transferred to Oakland Technical High School and was scheduled to graduate mid-year in January 1949, although it is not clear if he did. Eastwood held a number of jobs, including lifeguard, paper carrier, grocery clerk, forest firefighter, and golf caddy. Eastwood said that he tried to enroll at Seattle University in 1951, but instead was drafted into the United States Army during the Korean War. He spent his military service working as a lifeguard at Fort Ord in Northern California.